It is wonderful to see all of your faces gathered here on this awesome evening of Kol Nidre, the beginning of Yom Kippur. We now take a moment to contemplatively think about the work we are to do and what is ahead of us with blessing and peace. And we are in this moment blessed with the beauty of the cello playing in most amazing Kol Nidre by Janet Horvath, who is always a gift to all of us. So we take this moment to pray in our hearts and in our souls. We turn to page 15 as we rise, preparing for Kol Nidre on page 18. Kol Nidre, a chant that begins in a whisper and rises to a cry. On this night of promises remembered, each soul in solitude communes with the soul of the universe. God, from this day of atonement to the next, may we reach it in peace. All Israel makes these vows to turn from wrong, dishonesty, and greed, to walk in the path of justice and right. Yet we know our weakness, how prone we are to fail. Help us to keep our word. Help us to act with humility and integrity. We seek pardon and forgiveness. We seek your radiance and light. All shall be forgiven, the entire community of Israel and the stranger who lives in their midst, for all have gone astray in error. Moses prayed to God, as you have been faithful to this people ever since Egypt, please forgive their failings now, in keeping with your boundless love.
Together on page 24. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your great name fills the universe with majestic might. Your word creates twilight and dusk. As your wisdom opens the gates of night, your discernment separates the changing seasons and causes the passage of time. The stars arrayed across the sky reveal your design. You roll out the cycle of darkness and light, shaping day and night. You sweep away day and carry the world into nightfall, setting day apart from nighttime. You are God to all who can perceive and all that is beyond our perception. Living, eternal God, be our sovereign to the end of time. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, creator of twilight and dusk. We continue with the Shema on page 28.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto
Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם כראשים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We return to page 30 as we continue together in the English. You shall love Adonai your God with all your mind, with all your soul, and with all your strength. Set these words which I command you this day upon your heart. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. Let them be a symbol before your eyes. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them. Thus you will become holy to your God. I, Adonai, am your God, who brought you out of Egypt to be your God. I, Adonai, your God. We continue on page 40. Witness to this heroic might, the people thanked and praised God by name, freely accepting the rain of heaven. Then Moses and Miriam and all Israel sang to you this song of utter joy.
One
Blessed are you in our lives, Eternal One, who redeemed Israel. We continue with the Hashkivenu on page 42.
Please rise for the Tefila as we turn to page 46.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufia gitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Magin Avraham Ezrat Sarah. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע.
מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים גרובב עולים, ומתי השונאים, ומקיים אמונתו משנה עפר. מי כמוך על גבורות ומי דומך, מלך ממיט ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. מי כמוך אל הרחמים, זוכר יצוריו לחיים ברחמים.
ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל.
אתה kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. You are holy, your name is holy. Seekers of holiness praise you day by day. Selah. Please be seated as we turn to page 63. Like smoke above the altar, may a memory of us ascend and come before you. As Israel once came to you with offerings from the flock, so we bring to you the offerings of our mouth, not lip service, but heartfelt prayer. So the prophet taught, "Return, O Israel, to Adonai your God, for you have fallen because of your sin. Take words with you and return to Adonai." Accept the words we set before you, awkward and imperfect as they are, our hesitant questions, our corrosive doubts. Accept, too, our silences, our thoughts that rise in the stillness, our faith that coheres for a fragile instant, then dissipates like smoke above the altar. We turn to page 72. turn to page 75. It doesn't have to be the blue iris. It could be weeds in a vacant lot or a few small stones. Just pay attention and then patch a few words together. And don't try to make them elaborate. This isn't a contest, but the doorway into thanks and a silence in which another voice may speak. We pray for peace. Shalom Rav, page 78. We offer silent prayer and meditation as we hope to be inscribed in the book of life for a year of goodness, blessing, and prosperity.
continue with the vidui, the confession on page 82. Please rise. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence. And when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong.
Ay, 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 ay,
Of these wrongs we are guilty. We betray, we steal, we scorn, we act perversely, we are cruel, we scheme, we are violent, we slander, we devise evil, we lie, we ridicule, we disobey, we abuse, we defy, we corrupt, we commit crimes, we are hostile, we are stubborn, we are immoral, we kill, we spoil, we go astray, we lead others astray. Please be seated as we continue on page 88. We join together, Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you openly and secretly, the harm we have caused in your world by losing self-control. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you through sexual immorality and harm we have caused in your world through consumption of food and drink. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you by giving in to your hostile impulses and harm we have caused in your world through greed and exploitation. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you through cynicism and scorn and harm we have caused in your world through arrogant behavior. Al hate shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you by hating without cause, and harm we have caused in your world through offensive speech. Al hate shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you with a slanderous tongue, and harm we have caused in your world through a selfish or petty spirit. For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement.
We rise and turn to page 114 for the Avinu Malkeinu. There is a Cherokee legend about a grandfather speaking to a grandchild. And he says to his grandchild, "There are two wolves in each and every one of us. One of the wolves, well, it holds anger and upset, greed and frustration. The other wolf holds peace and forgiveness, holds a beauty of blessing." And so the grandchild takes a moment to think and turns to the elder and says, "Which one wins?" The grandfather turns and says, "The one you feed." Yes, we have been feeding the wolf of anger, haven't we? We have been feeding the wolf of arrogance. That's why we're here on Yom Kippur, to talk about it. The Mayo Clinic even agrees that there is a spike in anger since the pandemic and after. They call it panger. You know how it means to be hangry. We're smashing anger with every other ill we've decided is a part of our lives. You see, we don't need much statistics, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. As we know that 1 out of every 4 people feel angry. 10% of us are worried about how we respond in our anger, our actions out of anger. 25% are worried about how angry they can get sometimes. 20% have ended a relationship because of anger. And 60% truly believe that there is a spike in anger in this world. We don't really need the statistics, but I'm going to give you a few more. You see, there is a belief that every adult gets angry at least once a day, annoyed 2 or 3 times a day. But the experts tell us it's more like 15 times a day. Anger is making us sick, really, truly sick. Anger presents as heart disease, as high blood pressure. Anger is a secondary emotion for depression and sadness and anxiety. You see, it really is becoming an epidemic of our society. We see it in every way, shape, and form. We see it as individuals wanting to have power over others. We see it in people wanting to be right all the time. We see it over and over and over again as people don't try and persuade, but make their point and then leave the room. We see it in the rise of violence. Young men in anger, access to guns. We see it in the rise of hate crimes, anti-Semitism, racism, anti-trans, violence. It is anger, and it is scary. Judaism wants to look at anger and dissect it and understand how it is both good and bad. Abraham Joshua Heschel talks about anger is like fire. It can be a blessing, and it can destroy and be a curse. You see, Abraham Joshua Heschel tells us that when it's an individual desire to take over somebody or to, in some way, overpower, that is the curse. But not having anger in the face of injustice, that is not okay. According to him, that in responding is righteous anger. It's holy anger, actually. And I love that idea. It's what Judaism teaches us all along the way. We don't have to look far at all. You see, Judaism tells us that anger, in how it's used, makes all the difference in the world. We know because we see Moses. Moses got angry a lot in the Bible, but there are two examples I want to show us, an anger that was blessed and an anger that was cursed. If we remember Moses, out of his frustration for a people who were not always the easiest to lead, let's be honest, they were complaining. Miriam had just died. They didn't have water. They were upset. And Moses had had it up to here. So what does he do? God tells him, you know what? Talk to the rock, and the rock's going to give you water, Moses. But Moses is so personally frustrated that he hits the rock twice, and water comes. But he is prevented from going into the promised land because of that act of anger. That was selfish anger. He said, "Oh, you rebels, what do you want from me? Do you want me to get water out of this rock?" His personal frustration and anger was an intimidation and was unacceptable to God. He dies in the wilderness, and we do not know where his grave is. Now, there's another instance of Moses' anger. You remember he went up to the mountain, Mount Sinai, got those 10 commandments on stone. The first time he comes down, the people are actually praying to a golden calf. The tradition says he was 6 hours late. You think it was days or weeks or months. It's 6 hours. That's how unbelievably impulsive these people are. And he looks and he sees the golden calf. He prevented God from destroying them because God wanted to destroy them. And he comes down and he takes these sacred tablets and he throws them on the ground and they shatter. In that angry instance, he was in the face of injustice. He was in the face of impulsiveness. And so God gives him a second chance. He gets to go back up and get a second set of tablets, and he brings them down and they're whole. Two different kinds of anger, two instances in what it means to be angry. I have seen a lot of holy anger that I am blessed to be in the presence of. Some of you, some of your loved ones, others in our community have fought with anger against cancer and other diseases, have fought a valiant fight. And sometimes one wins it for the long haul, and sometimes not. But the fight is holy. The fight is a motivator to go through amazing and unbelievably torturous levels of treatment. Anger is a motivator in that way. It is holy anger. And for those who struggle with mental illness, that too is a holy anger. Many of us did not win the DNA lottery. We struggle with anxiety and depression. We so struggle. And that struggle is valiant and courageous and amazing. That is holy anger. This past February, I went down south with other senior clergy of the downtown congregations, and I stood in the presence. I was blessed to be in the presence of holy anger. We went down in our civil rights journey and spent Martin Luther King's birthday at Ebenezer Church. 4-hour service. I don't want you ever to complain again. I didn't miss a beat. It was amazing. I stood in holy anger in the presence when Dr. Bernice King, the youngest child of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., stood up on the dais and said, "Enough of quoting my father. It's time to start living like my father." And then Senator Warnock got up and said profound things about his vision for a world in the South. And Brian Stevenson, who talked about being with people on death row, and he told this amazing story about a person he couldn't save. And he was leaving the jail after that execution, and he heard this amazing gospel singer and gospel song on his way back, and he just wept. And right before he spoke, they had that very presence, that very singer sing before he stood up, and he was in tears. It was profound. That is holy anger. And then we went to Selma and Birmingham, and we ended up in Montgomery at the Legacy Museum, where Brian Stevenson built this incredible museum. It is a museum that talks in the very place where a transatlantic ship docked, where slaves were sold on the auction block, right underneath where this museum has been built, transforming that space, that injustice, transforming it to something beyond one's imagination, telling the honest truth. It felt like to me, like the Holocaust Museum in many ways, as there were jars of earth all across the wall, ground where people had been lynched, their only grave. I stood there with chills down my spine. That is holy anger. To tell the truth on the way to justice, to tell the truth on the way to teshuvah, to asking for forgiveness. And yes, whatever our political views might be, we cannot deny the reality of what is happening on the streets of Israel. For 38 weeks in a row, there have been massive protests. Reservists are saying they are here not only as they have always been to protect the country, but to protect democracy. I have never, I don't know if you have, ever seen an open letter to North American leaders by Yossi Klein Halevi, someone that Frank and I know well, who has told me through the years, you know what, Rabbi? You don't live here. You don't have a say like I do. I get that. But now he's asking me to stand up, to say something, that these are unprecedented times. This is for us, as a Jewish community worldwide, on this 50th anniversary of the Yom Kippur War. We gathered then in synagogues. I was 15 then. And we are gathering again in this moment where we need to have conversations. We need to be open to our part to play in the world and for Israel. This is Yom Kippur. This is not a time to deny. This is not a time to pretend like everything's okay. This is a time for us to wrestle with the truth and to wrestle with each other. You see, we can sit on the sidelines if we choose, but that is just a place for us to stand and critique, but not to motivate and move. Anger, holy anger, moves us to action, and that is what today is all about. You know, we have many political views here at Temple Israel. And sometimes we do not understand each other. How can someone have such a different perspective on the same thing as I do? But you know what combines and coalesces us is our anger. We're angry at somebody. Let's turn that anger into holy anger. There's a wonderful story about a football player who, at the height of his career, was found to have bone cancer, and they had to amputate his leg. Distraught and upset, he was so angry. He was used to a lifestyle with all the cars and women who wanted to be with him, and then all of a sudden that was all gone in a minute. He came to see Rachel Naomi Remen. He didn't know what to do. He was so angry, and she saw the anger. She got to the point of wanting him to get it out. So she gave him a piece of paper, and she gave him a basket of crayons, and he took a black crayon, and he created this thunderbolt. And she said to him, "Before you come back to see me, I want you to do something over many months. I want you to go to the children's cancer ward, and I want you to talk to the children who have the same disease you have." He didn't want to, but he did, because he wanted to come back to see her. And he went day after day, and as you can imagine, the children were so excited to see this hero of theirs, this football player. It was an amazing thing, and he didn't only come once, he came day after day after day. And he then came back to see Rachel Naomi Remen. And he explained what a transformative experience it had been for him. And she took out the picture that he had created. And she said, "Why don't you finish this picture?" And he took a yellow crayon and he put rays of sunshine out of the thunderbolt. That's what transforming anger. It's not feeling it or suppressing it. That's not what Judaism teaches us. It's focusing its energy into doing something good, a blessing, not destructive. It's feeding that wolf in us who can find the joy and the ability to work hard against injustice. Because as they like to say, if you're not outraged, you're not paying attention. Rabbi Pinchas once said, "I have gained control over my anger. I put it in my pocket, and when I need it, I take it out. Shana Tova, Gemar Chatima Tova. May we be all sealed in the book of life so that we can continue to do the holy work of Holy Anchor.
Our services begin tomorrow morning again, and we have lots that is going on. We invite you to come and bring your families. Our lobby will be streaming whatever service is in the sanctuary, so that if you need to move your family and people need to walk around and play, there is plenty of space in the lobby. A few highlights for tomorrow at 1:45. We hope that you will join Rabbi Zimmerman in conversation with Senator Amy Klobuchar to be talking about anti-Semitism from the inside out and the state of civil discourse in our country. And at 5:30, we will begin Nila with our baby parade. Everyone who is a part of a family that has welcomed a new baby in this last year or so is invited to join us. And afterwards, we will have our breakfast sponsored by Shirley and Marshall Besikoff. We are still here after Yom Kippur, and there's still lots going on, not just for Sukkot and Simchat Torah, but continuing. On October 1st is the grand opening of Camp Tico from 9 to 12, which will be a wonderful morning for the entire family. And on Friday night, October 13th at Shabbat services, we will be joined by the Nefesh Mountain Band. We wish you all a Shana Tova and look forward to greeting you after the service in the lobby. In addition, I want to thank our ushers who have made everything work so smoothly this evening and for Rosh Hashanah, and they are led by Dean and by Jonathan. We thank them and their entire team. Shana Tova. We now continue with the conclusion of our service as we turn to the Aleinu on page 116. Please rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latet gdola liotzer breshin, shelo asanu k'goyeh haratzor, velo samanok mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kefol hamonam, v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malachei hamelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'ne'emar Yahya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz hayom ha'u yeh Adonai echad u'shemo
We now turn to page 122 as we listen to the names of these individuals and people who have died, whose presence we feel within our sanctuary this evening. On the 50th anniversary of the Yom Kippur War, remember all who fought and died there. We now remember Elias Eisenberg, Lucille Goff, Donald Scale, Sophia Chernikov, Nancy Malman, Diana Eidelcope, Daniel Goldberg, Larry Kreidberg, Manya Dvoskin, James Ehrlich, Chris Benjamin, Barbara Siegel, Muriel Posner, Barbara Harris, Steve Newman, and Rabbi Sim Glazer. And we link their names to those whose yortzites are commemorated at this Shabbat service, the Barron family, a family, as you will hear, of many who died in the Holocaust. We do not know the date of their death, and so Yom Kippur is the time that the family chooses to remember them. John Birdie, Rabbi Zev Jimmy Binder, Faye Reuben Brody, Ron Burton, Pearl Kaplan, Florence Chu, Esther Sapie Kleiman, Abraham Bertram Cutts, Lee Kramer Cutts, Charlotte Dotchis, Dr. Samuel D. Dworsky, Max W. Frank, Stephen Friedson, John Gasway, the Gadali family, Cynthia Kunyan Ginsburg, Jerry Ida Halper, Deborah Halverson, Benjamin Howard, Amy Kahn, Paula Klein, Jacob Landis, Jeffrey Landis, Charlotte Mitow Price, G. Theodore Mitow, Kivu Mnaun, Edith Ogren, Lubov Paley, Ruth Perlman, Arthur Premack, Janet Premack, Esther Rich, Oscar Rich, Florence Rhine, Lenora M. Robichek, Michael L. Rose, Frederick T. Rosenblatt, Herman Lewis Rosenblatt, Dorothy Rubin, Suzanne Saltzman, Maya Schlesinger, Muriel Schwartz, Shirley Snyder, Gail Steinberg, Douglas Sweet, Justin Swiller, Natalie Joy Swiller, Joseph Warkov, Dr. Harold Wasserman, Judith Yesnis, and Rabbi Samuel N. Dinard, who served our congregation from 1902 to 1921, who died that year on Yom Kippur. Together, we join our voices in reciting the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, bi'alma divrach cherutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chai yachon of Yom Echon, u'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uzman karib v'imru amen. Yehe shmei Rabbah mivarach leolam omei ve'omaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitdaleh v'yithalal shmei dekudesha brichu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shloma rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. O say shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Conclude our service as the cantor sings her signature piece, every Kol Nidre. This is the second time, because this is her second year. Every year, let's just say it. Yerushalayim Shel Zahav. We don't close the doors because we are not really concluding our service. It rolls into tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. So we do not close the doors, but we do sing a song and a little benediction.
Misab ruach
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and may God keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yechuneka. May God's light shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's light be upon you, and may God grant you the most precious gifts, the gifts of wholeness and the gifts of peace. May it be God's will. Amen. May you all have an easy fast.